Hello, Internet, and at long last, welcome to my live reaction for To Your Eternity, chapter 156. That's right, after 8 to 9 parts of 155, over 2 months in 155, we are finally at 156. And when we last left our heroes, this arc, in part at least, felt like it was starting to wrap up. As right as all hope seemed lost against the Knocker-possessed Tonari and the Fushi puppet, they froze as Sadaru arrived. He hasn't done much yet beyond them being frozen, and no one has quite put the pieces together between this kid and the Beholder, beyond Funa, who kind of knows thanks to her time as a ghost. But he sort of takes Tonari and the puppet and wonders what he's going to do with them, which again kind of raises the question of what exactly does death mean in this world now? You know, even if Sadaru kills Tonari, it doesn't really have much consequence because Fushi can resurrect her. But whatever, we'll see what comes of that. There's this interesting or perhaps as that scene ends, though. Much more pressingly, back with the Guardians, Mizuha wakes up. I think she's the Guardian Knocker, but she's pretending to be Mizuha. And she makes this, bid for peace. You know, let's just, I'll go with the Guardians peacefully. I'm going to fulfill my ancestors' duty or whatever. But Yuki wants that peace to include their friendship, so he invites her over to his house to, break bread together. And Mizuha tells them about the supposed Guardian tradition, that when you come to peace with people, you share a glass of water. And given everything we know about Mizuha right now, there's no way that water is safe. So let's dive right on into chapter 156. And there's no title here. There's the cover in the bottom right corner, but there's nothing else. And we pick up right where we left off. Literally the same line. As Mizuha and or the Guardian Knocker holds out the glass. It's only water. And Hana asks her, and if we drink that, you'll come back with us? Yes. And Tamaki mutters that's a Hirotoshi who mutters to Tamaki and Senba. You think that's really safe to drink? And neither of them are quite sure. Again, I don't recall what all they saw at the school. Did they see early enough to, recognize water as the way she massacred the school earlier? It's a little bit unclear. But either way, Mizuha is still holding it out. You will drink it, won't you? And Hana looks at it and she starts to reach towards the water. And Bon calls, don't do it! And as I was reading the last chapter, I wasn't sure how much Bon knew about the water, because he arrived very late to this whole arc. But I guess he does know. He's aware that, the water and Mizuha right now are, not exactly a trustworthy setup. But Yuki just goes for it. Chapter 156, Clean Water, Part 1. Which is either ironic, or a sign that I've been giving Mizuha too much doubt. But everyone is just taken aback. Hana's making this big deal out of going for the water, and Yuki has just glugged it. He sets it down on the plate and grabs Mizuha. Okay, let's go. You two, everybody. We're going to my house. Okay. I feel last time there was a bit of a delay. At the school there was a delay between everyone getting soaked and then them all falling over. So maybe we'll still see that with Yuki, but it's also just it's such a Yuki thing. To just be so trusting even when he has no reason to be. That's so in character for him. Anyway, we're going to my house. Bon-san, would you mind calling Gramps and telling him I'm bringing a lot of would you mind calling Gramps and telling him I'm bringing a lot of people... Excuse me, but I can't get through this fucking sentence. And telling him I'm bringing a lot of people home with me, my phone broke. That's a very, again, Yuki is just, he's so obsessed with the supernatural, but he's also so, down to earth compared to, everybody. And Mizuha, runs off with him, and she gives this little giggle. And her response is, you're so funny, Yuki-kun. You must get hurt a lot. You always act on pure momentum. And the question is, is that giggle the Guardian Knocker and or even Mizuha at this point? Sort of scheming, she's got her possession in with Yuki? Or is there a genuine is there a genuine, if this is Mizuha, is there a genuine giggliness there? I don't know. It still feels like a trap to me. And Mizuha goes on, what if that had been a trap? What if the water was poisoned? Okay. So she's just sort of bringing it up. And Hirotoshi calls out, that's what they call courage bordering on recklessness, Yukishi. And Bon, who again is way too casual with Hirotoshi, given everything about him just sort of sucks, just sort of comments, you're certainly one to talk. And then he turns to Mizuha, so, was it poisoned? And Mizuha calls back, of course not. I could never poison one of my precious juniors. It really was just water. Okay, do we believe her? Because I don't know. You know, if this is the Guardian Knocker, then that's not technically a lie. You know, the Guardian Knocker the Guardian Knocker would not see Yuki as a junior. It would see him as just some kid. And so if this is the Guardian Knocker, it's not technically lying. But I don't know. Anyway, Yuki then asks Mizuha, do you remember before when I asked if humans get along with mutants and you said yes? And Mizuha asks, did we talk about that? So there's the interesting thing, because I forget who was in charge during that scene, right? I remember the scene. I don't remember if that was Mizuha or the Guardian Knocker. Because I think whoever is control here, the fact that she's saying, did we talk about that? Whoever is in control right now is the opposite, is not who was there for that scene. But Yuki, you know, ever the naive one, no matter who they are, I take everyone at their word. Oh. So Mizuha then has this little moment of this weird little line. No matter who they are, but I'm Mizuha. She's not Mizuha. That's the Guardian Knocker right there. That's not the response Mizuha would say. Hirotoshi is missing all of this little subtleties there. Oh, good. Then everything's back to how it was before. The knockers are gone, so he was able to drink the water without hesitation. But then, Yuki then comments, the knockers aren't gone. I've been talking to one the whole time. Which again, you know, I always want to forget this. I brought this up before. Yuki may be sort of innocent and sort of trusting, maybe overly trusting, but he's not dumb. You know, he's well aware of like what's actually at stake here. Hirotoshi's confused. Which means there's a knocker hiding around here somewhere? And he gives this meaningful look to the Guardian Knocker. And just asks her, what's your name? Huh? I told you. I'm Mizuha. And after the moment, Yuki comments, Mizuha-senpai is right-handed. And if we look back to last week's chapter, we'll see she holds out the water with her left hand. And then also, you know, when, you know, I mean, it's technically, you know, looking at this little running bit, Yuki grabs her left hand, but he still does grab the outstretched left hand. And we see that. We see that he grabbed her left hand, and the Guardian Knocker gives this uncomfortable little laugh on page 7. And there's something... So page 7. I sort of skipped over that top panel there. Because it's the Guardian Knocker realizing she's been had, and then we see the hands, her left hand and Yuki's right. And then the Guardian Knocker, you know, kind of shocked that she's been had and sweating. But there's this interesting thing with Mizuha's hair, or the Guardian Knocker's hair. And like it has these sort of like white, like glisten lines, back when she's still pretending to be Mizuha. And then it just fades into like flat black afterwards. I don't know what that means beyond just giving her a much more kind of dead feeling. Like it's sort of corpse-like, all of a sudden. Which makes sense because, you know, Mizuha's dead. And realizing she's been had, the Guardian Knocker zooms back towards the group, shocking Yuki, and she runs into the sewers. As the gang comments, she ran away. And then Yuki sort of falls over or something. Oh, I think he's so he was like, you know, had to really struggle to put on that brave face during that whole interaction. And now that it's over, he just collapses. Bon grabs him. Come, let us go see Sadaru right away. I guess to, like, kill the knocker and revive Yuki, I guess. But Yuki's just, what is it? Don't worry about me. I've got to get home and buy groceries for dinner. I'll just trust that Fushi will bring Mizuha-senpai's knocker. I believe we can talk to them and reach an understanding so that Mizuha-senpai and everyone else can get their bodies back. And Bon just sort of you know, not really berates him, but gently chides him. Honestly, boy, how optimistic can one child get? And then says, I wonder what Mizuha-kun would have thought if she had seen that. And Yuki tells him, as like he seems to be dying, to be perfectly frank. Like, he does not look like he's in a good state. She can laugh at me bitterly. I deserve it. And then there's this moment. This silent panel between the two of them. And now we're still back in paradise. So I was right, way back when Mizuha died months ago. This is her in paradise. When we last saw her in paradise, as I recall, it was initially her in her apartment with her parents loving her and her, like, friend group. And then that all faded away to just be Hayase and her descendants. As a sign that, like, Hayase had, even in death, sort of overtaken Mizuha. And so we're still in that sort of void. As Mizuha's just crying alone. Oh no, this is her ghost. This isn't paradise. This is her ghost. Which means we never saw her in paradise. So what was the vision she saw? Right? Like, back when she died. Back when Mizuha died. What was the vision that she saw? Because now we know this is her ghost standing over Bon and Yuki. And so that means she was in the real world. She's not in paradise. What was the vision then? Was it just some sort of fantasy, some, like, idle fantasy? Like, it felt like it was her paradise. But it's not, clearly. She's still in the real world, which means, of course, Mizuha can come back. I don't know. But her father's ghost then comes and comforts her. And we see another hand come to comfort her, and it's Izumi. And the three of them watch on. I imagine I think that the three of them might actually go to paradise like this. This is their sort of, you know, chance to be a family again, to, like, not be as fucked up as they were. But then we cut to the gang carrying the guru. And I was sort of confused who the person in front was. It seems to be one of Fushi's. I'm not sure what Fushi body this is. But Chami asked them, are you alright, Fushi-sama? And Fushi says, sorry, Tamihiko-san. Would you mind carrying him? Not at all. But why? And Fushi looks out. Something's coming. Huh? And then Fushi is just tackled. Chami looks on in shock. Huh? Fushi-sama! As the Guardian Knocker has grabbed Fushi and has booked it. And that's where we leave off. And I think we're off next week. I think next week is Golden Week in Japan, and so I think all the weekly magazines are off. I know Jump is off next week, and I think Kodansha's Weekly Shonen is also off, though I would not swear to that. But I heard Eden Zero is off next week, and I think, for some reason, Amazon only has part 3 of this chapter already listed and not part 2, but part 3 is listed for the 17th of May, and I think for that to work, there would have to be a week off somewhere, either next week or the week after. And next week is Golden Week, so I think we're off next week. So this is the cliffhanger we're left on for about 2 weeks. And, okay, let's talk Yuki. I'm still working out how to, like, really feel about this boy at this part of the story. Because, like, he knew. Like, I see how I'm supposed to be taking this, right? That, you know, there was no strategy Yuki had when it came to drinking the water. It was not about strategy. It was not about outthinking the Guardian Knocker. It was a sign of his unending faith. The fact that to his core, he will always believe in everyone. He will always believe that peace is possible, that if we all just talk it out, you know, there will be no betrayal. We can all get along. And it doesn't work out for him in the end, as I think he knew when he drank it, that his ideals would literally be the death of him here. I do think he is poisoned. The Guardian Knocker says that he isn't poisoned, but the Guardian Knocker also says that she's Mizuha, and that Yuki is one of her precious juniors, which are just like both false. So I think, especially as we see as the scene goes on, he just looks like more and more like wilting in Bond's arms. I think he's dying. And I mean, again, get Satoru on the case. Satoru takes out the knockers. I don't want to say knock out the knockers. That's too fucking lame. And then Yuki can be revived. But still, it's not... He didn't drink that because he knew that Satoru could bring him back from the dead. I don't think that's why he did that. He did that because Yuki, at his core, believes in people. That the fundamental thing that drives him is the sense that people, and aliens in this case, are good. They are fundamentally good. And so if we just trust in each other, everything will work out. And he is on death's door to prove that belief system. But also, the kid's no idiot. He is well aware from, like, the most minor of details that not even Hana really noticed. That, like, this couldn't be Mizuha, because Mizuha's right-handed. She works with her right hand, and the fact that she held out the water with her left is a sure sign that that's not Mizuha. So Yuki is just this fascinating character. He's simultaneously so frustrating and, like, so good. Like, I admire the courage of his convictions, and also it's the wrong choice in the end. It's the choice that would, if he didn't make that choice, he would not be Yuki Aoki. He would be some other character. But, like, it also was not the smart move. He's smart enough to know that wasn't the smart move. But he stuck by his convictions, and now he'll have to pay the consequences. And then there's the Mizuha scene, the real Mizuha scene, as she weeps for Yuki, it seems like. And, like, I never really got the impression that Mizuha cared that much about Yuki. Like, Yuki was, like, it felt like the whole crush on Mizuha thing was very much a one-sided dynamic. But now, I mean, maybe it's not meant to be a romantic, crying for a boy that she liked, just like that he died to have faith in someone that she had faith in, and is now, well, I don't want to say is now hurting her friends, because she sort of rejected them in the end, rejected her friends. I don't know. But just the scene moves her to tears. Maybe, like, in this moment she's realizing that she backed the wrong side. That it's not the Guardian Knocker is playing this long game and is using her as a prop in it, and maybe seeing the Guardian Knocker literally use her body as a prop, is on some level forcing Mizuha to realize she backed the wrong side. That, the person that she scorned is, like, risking / maybe even giving his life in faith of her. And that's something she never really believed in, to some level. I'm thinking of the scene in the most recent Yona chapter, where Suwon realizes that it was Hawk and Yona who won the battle, and he's sort of forced to come to realize that it was the forces he discarded that saved him, I think is the exact line. And that's, I don't think this is meant to be as tactical as that scene, but still, the people she discarded are the ones who were there for, who tried to be there for her even after she was dead. And I don't know how she'll take that. There's a way you can read that this final scene as her moving on into the great beyond, moving on into paradise. But maybe as she watches them, she's going to end up wanting to, like, stay, wanting to be human and free of the knockers again, acknowledging she backed the wrong horse or something. Seeing how, to the end, all of her friends, like even Hana, this chapter is very much focused on Yuki, but Hana was also more than willing to forgive her. And then we have that cliffhanger as the Guardian Knocker just steals Fushi once and for all. Maybe to finally fill out Hayase's will and get that Fushi baby. But okay. I don't know. We'll see what comes of that next time. All in all, there's just so much good shit here, especially for Yuki. Yuki, he's a little frustrating, but he knows who he is, and he's willing to die for his beliefs, and that ain't nothing. I'll say that much. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!